Hi pet people, welcome to Pet Life with Beck. Today's video I wanted to talk about how I bonded our two cats together, Jasiri and Jasper. So the little cutie you can see and hear in this video is Jasper. She is now currently 4 years old, but when I recorded these videos at the time, I always intended on making a video about how I bonded them together and got them to get along. So no time like the present to go through this footage and put it all together and show you what we did to get them to where they are today. So as I said, Jasper is now 4 years old. She just turned 4 on the 1st of July. So we brought her home in October 4 years ago, so that would have been 2018. And at that time, Jasiri was about 1 year and 2 months old. So we'd had Jasiri for just under a year because we brought her home when she was about 13 weeks old. So it sort of was like the perfect time to introduce another kitten once the first one's grown up and you've got the training in. And so bringing Jasper in at that time just seemed like the right thing to do. So for those of you who don't know, Jasper is a Somali cat. She is a tawny coloured Somali, and Jasiri is actually her older sister from the same parents, and she is a blue Somali. So the first thing we did with Jasper when we brought her home is we got her set up in her own room. So this was our spare bedroom, and we just kept the door shut, set her up with toys, food, a litter tray, and got her settled in there. So she was really clingy at first because obviously she's just been taken away from her siblings and her mum. So she's a little bit stressed in that regard, but we took the time to make sure she was settled in. We got her comfortable playing in the room and cuddling up to us. And we also got her comfortable with playing with toys under the door because Jasiri was really interested hanging out on the other side of the door, also sort of thinking about playing underneath the door. So that's really the first thing we did with the two cats together. And also obviously during this time we made sure that we put in extra time to play with Jasiri, make sure she wasn't feeling left out or too pushed aside. So as you can see here with this cute little footage of Jasper, she was really starting to sort of settle in, feel comfortable, sleeping, grooming, eating, playing, cuddling up. It was very, very sweet. So I actually slept in the room with Jasper because I didn't want her to be completely alone after being taken away from family. But also during this time, we are room swapping with Jasiri, so letting Jasper out into the rest of the house, which is where she met the bunnies for the first time, while Jasiri was either shut away in a bedroom or shut away in that spare room exploring Jasper's space. So you can see here this cute little footage of Jasper meeting the bunnies for the first time. Now obviously Apollo and Luna at this point have lived with a cat for a year, so they're not really afraid. It was a matter of making sure that Jasper wasn't too scared of them at first and they had a good first interaction. So the sniffing through the bars, absolutely perfect interaction. Until she puts her paws through the bars, which I tell her off for because that was one of the things that I strictly wasn't going to allow. And obviously Jasper also had to meet Dory. Dory makes a lot of noise and comes down to the bottom of her cage, but this was one of her first sort of meetings with Dory, and it went really, really well because I think Dory's size was a sheer like, wow, what is that? So that's one good thing about Dory, she's quite a large parrot. So that went really well as well. So from there, because Jasiri seemed quite interested in Jasper and she wasn't angry or afraid, we actually moved on to the next step pretty quickly, which is them interacting through a crack in the door and then through a slightly open door. So I moved on to this step probably more quickly than most people would if you were following fairly strictly like Jackson Galaxy's guidelines for introducing cats, because that's what I based my introduction process on. But things really did progress quite quickly. You can see Jasiri's acting quite playful towards Jasper. There's a little bit of, back and forth, but that's to be expected. So just reading Jasiri's body language and Jasper's body language, I felt comfortable starting this step quite early, like earlier than might be suggested otherwise. So there was a little bit of back and forth, Jasiri chasing Jasper, Jasper trying to scoot past her to get into the rest of the house. But overall, it was very playful. There is a little bit from Jasiri of sort of, I'm playing, but I'm also putting you in your place. And I think that's pretty normal when you're introducing a new cat into a house, especially a kitten. Your adult cat is going to be the dominant cat in that situation, and she's going to sort of assert her dominance. But overall, Jasiri was very playful. You can see, even though she approaches Jasper, she often just turns her back on her and walks away because she's not afraid of her. She's not worried about being attacked. And then she comes straight back and they go for another little play. Jasper obviously is a little bit more wary. She's a kitten. She's still getting used to interacting with strange cats, even though she came from a home with lots of cats. So just this interactions for Jasper, a little bit overwhelming at times, so we kept these sessions pretty short. So even though this whole process for us probably only took several days, because I took the time off work, I was home all day, every day, so we had probably 4 or 5 of these sessions every single day. And most of them were pretty similar. Jasiri would sort of go after Jasper a little bit, Jasper would roll over or run away. Occasionally there'd be a little bit of wrestling, but overall you can see it's quite calm. There are a few moments, such as this one, where Jasiri sort of tries to go for Jasper a little bit, try to sort of let her know that she's the boss cat. And at this point, Jasiri also became a bit more comfortable in Jasper's space because she wasn't really that confident coming into the room up until that point with Jasper's smell all through there. But as you can see, there's nothing too serious going on. Like I've said, there's no growling, no hissing. Every now and then when Jasiri pinned Jasper down a bit firmly, Jasper would make some meowing sounds, but nothing extreme. So as you can see, they've got very gentle little paw tapping, little attempts at play, but neither of them's quite confident enough to really get that play fully initiated. They're still a little bit nervous about it, but Jasiri is very relaxed. She's very interested, but still very relaxed body language. She's comfortable looking away and taking her focus off of Jasper. And then that little playful jump towards her as she tries to leave the room. So Jasiri's definitely blocking Jasper here, but not in a dangerous way. So I never had any concerns about Jasiri actually aggressively attacking Jasper. And this is so cute how she rolled over as like inviting her to play. It's very, very cute interaction. And I do wonder whether some of it is to do with the fact that Jasper probably smelled like Jasiri's parents, like Jasiri's mum, and she possibly remembered that smell, and that made her a bit more comfortable with Jasper than she might have been with perhaps another kitten. But that's just speculation on my part. So as you can see, as they go on, the interactions get a little bit more relaxed over time, a little bit more adventurous at the same time, like each is pushing the boundaries into the other's territory a little bit, and they're just really getting to know each other. And this whole process was fantastic to watch. Anytime one of them would get a bit stressed, we'd take a break, shut the door, separate them for a while, give them a break. But as you can see, they chase each other back and forth at this stage. So it's not just Jasiri going after Jasper, it's also Jasper chasing after Jasiri. So while this was a time-consuming process in some ways, and I had to be really vigilant, it wasn't as stressful as I thought it was going to be, because I knew Jasiri was a really playful cat, and I thought she'd love having a playmate, which to an extent she did, but I honestly expected a little bit more resistance in the attempt to bond them, because I've never actually bonded cats before, so this is a whole new experience for me as well. And I thought from these interactions, like, oh my goodness, they're going to be best playmates, best buddies, hanging out together all the time. And that's just not the case. They do play with each other, but Jasiri really likes her personal space. So Jasper does get in the way of that sometimes. So they are often in the same room together, but Jasiri definitely likes to sleep by herself. She doesn't like to be crowded. So they're very different personalities, these two. So like I said before, it was all very relaxed interaction. Jasper was there happily playing with that toy with Jasiri nearby. And Jasiri's happy to watch and interact, but also walk away. So There's a lot of similar footage through here, but there is a lot of interactions. I filmed so much stuff, obviously, but I thought some of this footage could really be useful to other people who are potentially bonding their cats, seeing what is play behavior, because a lot of this is very relaxed, calm behavior. There's no aggressive, dead-on staring without any breaking focus. The ears are very rarely pinned back. They're very sort of, one ear might flip back a little bit, but not for very long. And yeah, no stiff movement, just very calm behavior. So I was really, really pleased with how this whole process went. As you can see, Jasper, obviously, being the kitten that she is, a little bit more tense than Jasiri, but getting her involved in play really helped ease that and and help them to, you know, relax in each other's presence. So, like I said, this was a process of several days, and at one point then, because Jasper was running out of the room a lot with Jasiri chasing after her, we then started letting Jasper out into the house with Jasiri with supervision. We left the house for the day or for a couple hours. We would still shut Jasper away in the spare room so that they weren't just left to their own devices together, because as you can see, Jasiri was still sort of letting Jasper know that she was the boss cat a little bit, and I didn't want Jasper to get overwhelmed if Jasiri decided not to leave her alone. So mainly because, you know, Jasiri, I don't think, she wasn't trying to hurt Jasper, but with her extra strength and Jasper being a kitten, she could more easily accidentally hurt Jasper. So whenever we went out, Jasper was still shut away, but we started giving them a lot of time together in the house rather than just supervised at the entry to the spare room. So at that point, once Jasper was introduced to the rest of the house with Jasiri, there was a bit more of that wrestling again.
What you doing?
As Jasper was brought into that, you know, Jasiri's space a bit more. But, you know, so again, we had to take breaks, let Jasper have her own space in the spare room, let her calm down and recover and have a bit of rest and not have to worry about her big sister following her around everywhere. So both of them are very, very playful cats though, and I think that's what really helped them to bond quite easily, is just that play behavior. Now this one here you can see is where Jasiri got quite serious about letting Jasper know that she was boss. And like I said, this happened every so often once Jasper was introduced to the rest of the house. There's some grooming followed by a very quick attack, which Jasper did not like at all. But nobody was hurt. And as you can see, shortly after, they are playing together in one of their tunnels. So they very quickly got to a point where they started to sort of trust each other, get along with each other, they're able to ignore each other and also play together without being worried about sort of pouncing on each other, which is really, really good to see. Jasiri was then able to ignore Jasper and just let her be around the house. She would sometimes come running up to her like she was going to pounce on her, but then just walk away as well. So it's really, really fantastic to see such a quick development in their relationship. Obviously, it's not just plain sailing all the way through. You know, Jasiri has moments where she went and sort of was a bit more forceful with her wrestling with Jasper to sort of say, hey, I'm the boss, and then before going back to being playful again. So just be mindful that if you are bonding cats, you just watch your cat's body language really, really carefully, know what play behavior looks like, and know what serious wrestling and attacking looks like. As I said, Jasiri's been pretty calm, very relaxed body language. She hasn't been staring Jasper down. She hasn't been very stiff. She hasn't been full-on attacking. She never hissed at Jasper. You know, there was never any tail lashing from Jasiri when she was attacking Jasper. So there's a lot of very subtle symptoms of cat body language that you can learn to know what exactly is going on when you're introducing your cats. And if you want to learn more about that, I do recommend you go and look up Jackson Galaxy's YouTube channel, because he is a wealth of information when it comes to cat behavior and cat body language and introducing cats together. So overall, like I said, this introduction went really smoothly, and I think it was maybe a week or two after we brought Jasper home she was just allowed in the house with Jasiri whenever, so even when we weren't home. So it very quickly developed their relationship into what it is today. And as you can see here in this clip, Jasper pouncing Jasiri on her back in a very relaxed, playful way, although often their play wrestling leads into chasey, and then somebody wrestles a bit too hard and the other one gets upset. So as you can see, Jasper thinks about pouncing Jasiri and thinks better of it, and then Jasiri just lets it walk away. So it very quickly, like I said, they get along really well now. Jasiri, like I said, she likes her personal space, and that's just different personalities in the cats, but they still do play together. They can happily ignore each other, be in the same spaces, and we don't have any aggression issues between them. Keep in mind, just watch your cats carefully when you're introducing them. Go as slow as you need to. I was very, very lucky. We didn't have to go very slow with introducing them at all. And as you can see, they get along pretty well most of the time. They don't always groom like this. This is actually a very rare occasion to have them grooming together, but they do groom each other sometimes. And like I said, as long as Jasper respects Jasiri's personal space, apart from when they're playing, they get along beautifully. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and you've gotten something out of it and enjoyed all that adorable cat footage that I had a lot of fun going through to make this video. If you did like the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again next time for another one. Bye!